Hello everyone, my name is Will. I'm here, one of the instructors at Homestead Training Center, and I'm here today to talk to you about not only safe gun handling skills, but also the fundamentals of marksmanship. Now, the first fundamental of marksmanship is your stance. You need to have a good solid stance so that way you can minimize recoil. You're never going to stop it completely, but the more you minimize it, the more control you have of the firearm, the weapon, the rifle, and the better your accuracy will be. So the first thing you want to do is figure out what you're more comfortable with. There's two types of stance. The first one is the isosceles, which is basically what it is your feet are shoulder width apart, your weight is over your toes, not your heels, but over. Okay, and then you bring the gun out, both hands, and then basically you lock your elbows and your wrist out, you bring the gun to eye level. That is what you do basically when you're working on your stance. The other one is, it's okay to bring your dominant leg back a slight bit, almost like a fighting stance. Those of you who have ever done any combat sports or sports would understand what I'm talking about. And then also, that will also be a different type of stance that you can use. It's whatever you're more comfortable with, that you're accurate and you're safe. I'm gonna go ahead now and show them that the gun is clear and empty and safe. See? No rounds, no magazine, okay? And still, we never point the muzzle anyway at anything we're not willing to destroy. Back to the stance. So basically, this is how you wanna stand. Again, your weight over your toes, the gun comes out, okay? And you bring the gun up to eye level. That is one of the stances. The other one is with your right or dominant leg back. If it's lefty, same thing. Okay, you put your left leg back, this is your dominant hand, fingers off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Bring the gun up to eye level and lock both elbows out. Okay, the next step of good marksmanship fundamentals is your grip. Your stance was first. Now, once you draw your handgun, when you come up, okay, your support hand is going to go high up, okay? And also your dominant hand goes up as high as you can, depending on the size of the gun. All right, we talked about stance. We spoke about grip. The next part of safe gun handling and marksmanship is sights. Your sight picture and your sight alignment, okay, is very important. Now, the way that you're supposed to correlate the front sight with the rear sight, and one of the ways that we kind of say it to get new shooters to remember it, is the sight equals sight height with the front and the rear, and equal sight light. Okay, basically what that means is the equal sight height is the front sight, okay, when you put it in between the rear sight should be even all the way across. So if you have a firearm that has circled dots for sights, then basically what you're doing is you're lining them all three up. So it should look visually to you as 1, 2, and 3. And then your sight height would be the other part, which would mean that the front sight should not be more to the left or more to the right. It should be even. So you shouldn't see any more light more to one side or more to the other, because that will make you miss either left or right. So that's what we mean by sight height, sight light. And then the sight picture, okay, is the other part of the target that you're shooting out at a distance. So if you're shooting out at a blue barrel, as an example, okay, your brain can only do one thing. So should the target be crystal clear that you're shooting at, or should the sight be crystal clear? through the years, when I've asked that question in most of my classes, most people think, well, it should be the target. That's the wrong answer, actually. It should be your sights. Now, the target should be in the background, a little blurry and fuzzy, but the sights should be crystal clear, because wherever the sights are on any weapon system, or even a red dot, that's exactly where the round is gonna go. So that's what that means by sight alignment and sight picture. So we've gone over three things. Okay, we've gone over, again, to reemphasize, stance. We've gone over grip. We've gone over sight alignment and sight picture. Now we're gonna go ahead and go over a proper trigger pull, not a squeeze. Because if you think about squeeze, or you subconsciously say that to somebody, especially if one day you become an instructor, when you tell somebody to squeeze the trigger, they're gonna squeeze their hand. And if they squeeze their hand, then guess what? If they're right-handed, the rounds are gonna go left. If they're left-handed, they're gonna go right, not on target. So how do you put your finger on the trigger? Your index finger, okay, you put the front tip of it, I'd say about a third. That's how much. You don't want to put more than that, okay? Remember, this is the fourth step. This is why you already have your stance, you know, you're already on target, knowing what you're going to be shooting at, and then what you do basically is you cut the slack, or you go to the wall, okay, of the firearm. And then from there, it's a constant pressure until the gun goes off. Now, as you see, I didn't release the trigger. Why didn't I release the trigger? Because if I release the trigger, the gun goes off, right? And then I come back to follow up shots or shots under stress, more than likely we're gonna come back too aggressive, and that's gonna make me, again, squeeze the trigger instead of gradually, you know, constant pressure back. So the gun goes off, okay, like this, boom. You maintain contact with the trigger. Now you're gonna go forward until you hear the trigger reset, which is a small click you're gonna hear. Didn't break contact. Then I come back to the wall, and then I know from this point on, it's just slow, gradual pressure. And that's a proper trigger pull. All right, the fifth and last marksmanship, okay, fundamentals that's important is your breathing and your follow through. We went over stance, we went over grip, we went over your sight alignment and sight picture, and then we went over the trigger. So lastly, the breathing and follow through, basically what you're doing is, if you're just target shooting and you're just trying to get good fundamentals, just breathe normal. Now, if you're gonna take one round and have time in between and you wanna be really, really accurate, what you can do is breathe in, and then as you exhale, at that point where you've exhaled all the air out of your body is where you would want to go ahead and start pulling the trigger slowly until it goes off. You don't need to hold your breath, because that actually will be counterproductive. You hold your breath and you have multiple rounds, guess what? Your body needs oxygen. So then you're gonna start to get tired and you're gonna start to shake again, and you don't want that. Just breathe normal, but if you're gonna take a round, okay, just go ahead and release, and then once that last bit of air has gone out of your body, go ahead and start pressing on the trigger slowly until it goes off, okay? And that's basically your follow through. So basically, if you shoot 2 rounds, okay, and then you let go of your breath, you shot your 2 rounds, 1, 2, okay, you're gonna bring your gun down just a little bit, okay? You're gonna look at your target. You're gonna see if where you're hitting is where you needed to hit. And then you're gonna give me a third sight picture, okay? That's just a good practice to have for competition, for any type of shooting. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put everything together that we learned inside the classroom. Well, we went over our stance, we went over our grip, our sight alignment, our sight picture, okay? Our trigger control, and then our follow through. So now everything that we talked about in the classroom, we're gonna go ahead and put all together, okay, in the same manner. So basically, once again, start from the bottom up, departmentalize everything you're doing until you become, you know, very comfortable in your shooting. Then what you're gonna do is keep your eye on the target. Now you're gonna have is a good grip. You're gonna bring the gun up, finger off the trigger, out, okay? You're gonna marry the hands, okay, with a good grip. Then at that point, you're gonna bring the gun up to eye level, okay? And what am I doing now? I'm putting my sights, okay, on the target. side alignment, and then my sight picture in the back is blurry. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my finger on the trigger. I'm gonna cut the slack. Okay, once I cut the slack, I release my breath, and I follow through. Bring the target. Thank you for watching the video that we posted about the fundamentals of marksmanship. I'm going to really quick go over the 5 just as a quick reminder. Number 1, you want to start with your stance. Well, a very good stable stance is very important to be accurate. Number 2, your grip. Your grip is also very important, and it's a key element to accurately shooting. Number 3 is your sight alignment and sight picture. Okay, you need to understand how to correlate them and how to use them, and then that will also make you accurately. Number 4 is your trigger. Know that the trigger is not something that you are squeezing or slapping, it's more of a steady pull. That'll also make you accurately. Lastly, number 5, it would be the follow through with your breathing. You just breathe normal and then follow through, and then you do that every single time, and you should be able to have an accurate shot every time.